Hey everybody, Advanced Director Becky Wolfinger here. And so last night we had our very first call, which was super exciting. And I told you guys at the end that I would share my story with you guys. I know I've had several people ask me since we had our Get Them Where You're Looking For call, ask me about, how my journey began. And we all do have a very unique journey and a very unique story and a very unique reason why we do this business. And so I find it is very important for us to share that with people because we never know who we're going to inspire. So a little bit about myself before I became a Pampered Chef consultant. So from 2001 to 2012, look, I have to stop and think. I was a retail manager, not a very glamorous job at all, but it paid the bills, and I promoted very quickly in that company until I was running a store. And with running a store came a lot of different things and things that I never really realized were going to be challenges for me as a person, as a mom, as a wife. And so, with retail, anybody that's worked retail, that it is a long, laborious job. And you put in a lot of hours and a lot of time into it. And so for me, when I started selling Pampered Chef, so I had gone to a party the summer of 2011, and I fell in love with the products all over again. Like I had shopped with them for like 20 years. And I decided, I need to host a party because there's just like so many products that I needed, to have in my kitchen. And so I decided to host a party. Well, my consultant had put information in my host packet. And, at the time, so a premise to this, at the time with my job, I had been going through a lot, okay? Like a lot, for the last year because with the company that I worked with, there was a lot of female discrimination amongst the ranks in retail management. And I was a female manager in a store with nothing but male managers. And so I was discriminated against a lot. Like literally told toward the end of my career with that company that I needed to choose between my kids and my career. And, that is just a no, like that's not happening, right? As a mom, you're going to tell me to choose my kids or my career, and that's not going to happen. So, these were all things that were like starting to happen towards the end of it. And just, I knew I was being pulled in a different direction, but I hadn't figured out what or how I was going to leave because I was making over $100,000 a year myself. And, financially, there's not a lot of opportunity around here where I could make that kind of money. So I was kind of stuck. Okay. So I was stuck working 70-hour work weeks. I was stuck not being able to raise my children. I was stuck letting my mother-in-law raise my children for me. And my husband was working, slave labor too, basically. So my children, as I was watching them, at the time I would have had, two like kids and they're, 10 and 12 years old around there. And then two babies basically, because I have 4 kids. And at the time, I really didn't understand all of the impact of what not being there for your children will do to you. So we'll move to that later on. So anyway, so I went to that party and she put the recruiting information in there. And back then there was a video that we could watch. And so I'm a curious person and I watched it, but I never had a conversation with my consultant at all about the business opportunity. Okay. So nothing. So keep that in mind. So comes time for my party and my consultant shows up and she is, walks in the door and I was like, hey, by the way, after my party, I'm going to sign up. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm going to join your team. I'm going to become a consultant. She was like, really? Okay. Cause we were good friends and she knew how much I worked. Like she knew I worked 70 plus hours a week. And so it's funny, but later on, like a year later, I asked her, I was like, why did you never ask me about joining Pampered Chef? And she said, because you were so busy. She was like, I knew there was no way that this would fit into your life. So you guys keep that in mind, right? that there are people that are begging for something like this, even if they are working 70 hours a week. For me, I just needed something of my own. I needed something fun to do because my job was so super stressful, that it wasn't a financial thing for me when I joined Pampered Chef. It wasn't, but it quickly became that for me. So I joined Pampered Chef July of 2011. I'm actually getting ready to celebrate my 9th anniversary here soon. And what I found was quickly that I started feeling like, wow, I really love Pampered Chef. Like when I would go to do a cooking show, like I just felt this new energy inside of me that I hadn't had for a long time because I was so exhausted, both physically, but more mentally. Okay. And Pampered Chef just didn't feel like work to me. It just felt like fun, and it felt like I was in the right place doing the right thing at the right time for myself. And so I started feeling this like tug. And I really think, for those of us that are religious, I felt like it was God talking to me and telling me, hey, open your eyes because you're missing out on a lot. And so, fast forward a couple of months and really, working 7-hour weeks, I wasn't doing a whole lot with Pampered Chef. Like I was I was probably doing 2 or 3 cooking shows a month at the time. Whatever I could squeeze in around my work schedule. And so February 2012, I walked into work with this company and I got fired from my job. Okay, so let that resonate for a second. I got fired from my job. And remember I told you in the beginning that I was experiencing a lot of discrimination. And after I was told by my manager that I needed to choose between my kids and my career, I pursued turning that conversation over into our human resources and basically put a target on myself. And so I can't go into all of the details about my experience with that, but let's just say that companies like that, when they want to get rid of you, they will make you go away and they will find any reason to get rid of you that they possibly can. And for me, they blamed it on Pampered Chef. Well, I had asked for permission to sell Pampered Chef beforehand, so that's another whole long story. Anyway, so I got fired from my job of 10 years. Okay. And you want to talk about devastated. Okay. So let's think about this. When you're a female and you rise up through a company and you're in a management position, you've worked really, really hard to get there, right? You've worked really, really hard because you have to go above and beyond. You have to give up a lot more than most men ever will in a company like that to get anywhere. And so I gave up so much of my children that I cannot get that time back. Okay, here comes the waterworks. Y'all asked for it. And so for me, when I lost my job, it was devastating, realizing how much I had given up over the last 10 years and how quickly I was disposed of. So the other thing about it was I was the breadwinner for my family. Like I was that person. My husband, yeah, he had a decent job, but definitely not enough to pay our bills. And so we literally went from a 6-figure income with 4 children, so a household of 6, to the very next month, trying to figure out how we were going to keep our roof over our heads and in poverty. There are so many people like me right now that have the same story, that are trying to figure out where their next meal is going to come from, how they're going to keep a roof over their head, how they're going to take care of their family. And that's where I was on my journey. So that was February 2012. So we worked really, really hard. My husband did. We kept the roof over our heads by selling stuff on our neighborhood, like yard sale sites, and, asked family for money and, did all of the things that we could to keep going. Well, 2 months later, we were dealt kind of another devastating blow that my father-in-law was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And he was given 90 days to live. So, backstory, me and my husband have been together since we were 16 years old. And so he was like a father to me. And at that moment, it kind of started clicking with me. that there was definitely a reason why I lost my job. And all things happen in God's time, not in ours. And you get tested and challenged in so many different ways in life that sometimes you can't see past the circumstances you're going through right now because everything is like here, right? But sometimes when you just let God or whoever, you believe in take over and let him show you what the plan is, it gets revealed to you. And so a couple months later from then, so we go from April of him being diagnosed to June, he gets a double amputation surgery done on his legs and he loses both of his legs. And I was primary caretaker at that point because we were so close. Like I said, he was like a father to me, that the only person he wanted to help him was me. I was the only person at 1:00 in the morning that was going over to help him because we were so close. So I sat there having a conversation with my father-in-law one night, and at this point, I'm really trying to get my Pampered Chef business going because I can't find employment because of how I was let go at my previous job. So I can't find employment. We're literally losing everything around us. We're barely keeping a roof over our heads. We're barely feeding our family. There was nights where I didn't eat so I could make sure my kids ate. So my father-in-law looks at me one of the nights I was over there, and he said, God has big plans for you, right? And I said, yeah, well, I'm not quite feeling it right now. And he said, what does your heart tell you? And I said, my heart tells me that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be a mom. I'm supposed to be able to take care of my children. I'm supposed to be able to take care of my family. I'm supposed to be able to love what I do in life. And I'm supposed to be able to love other people as I love myself. And he said, no matter what you set your mind to, that you can accomplish it, right? And I said, I'm questioning that because of how I lost my job and my ego was damaged and I just wasn't feeling very good about myself. And he was like, Becky, he said, anything that you want in this life is yours. You just have to go after it 100% and not stop until you get there. And something sparked in my brain and I was like, you're right. Like, why let someone else take that power from me? And I had to take it back. So from that moment forward, I took my power back and I had a conversation with my husband. And this was the bigger picture for me that I needed to hear because I had no belief in myself. So remember how we talked last night about our struggles with our personal belief? Well, my belief in myself at the time was zero. I had none. I had absolutely none. And so my husband and I were having the hard conversation about whether I was going to have to go back to work or what we were going to do because, we were getting ready to lose everything around us. Like our house was the next thing to go and we had no way out of it. So my husband was like, Becky, he said, I know what you're capable of. So basically the same thing his father had told me. He's sitting there telling me then, he's like, I know what you're capable of. And he said, I believe in you. And that's what I needed to hear. I needed to hear someone say they believed in me. So just like I told every one of you guys last night on that call, if you need someone to believe in you, I'm here. I am that person that will believe in you until you believe in yourself. Because I had that person believe in me until I believed in myself. Yes, I struggle with it. But I know deep down inside that I can and will do anything that I set my heart and mind to. So literally a couple months later, I promoted to a director. I was walking the stage the next year at conference in the 1%, top 1% of the company in sales. And I've never left ever since. So let me tell you guys what you sacrifice. So we fast forward all these years. And I told you earlier that you learn the lesson the hard way sometimes in life. And one of the biggest things that I've struggled with since has been my relationship with my 2 older children, because they're 22 and 20, and then I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I missed out on so many things with my 2 older children, and I will never get that time back. And I can never heal the wounds of me being unavailable and giving more of my time to a job that gave nothing back to me in the end. I cannot get that time back. So if you are someone that is sitting there wondering, can I do this? Can I make Pampered Chef my full-time job? My answer to you is absolutely, 100%, with no hesitation in my mind. You absolutely can. Because I know it, I've lived it, I've done it, and I've been it. You just have to have some belief in yourself. And like I said in the beginning, I'm here to believe in you, Amanda's here to believe in you, and Carolyn's here to believe in you until you believe in yourself. So that's my story. I want to make sure that you guys know there are so many people like me out there that need you to ask them to join your team. There are not a lot of people like me in the world that are going to step forward and say, I want to join your Pampered Chef team. There are more people that are waiting for you to ask, but if you don't ever ask them, where are they sleeping at night? Where's their opportunity? Where's their opportunity to stay with their children? Where's their opportunity to get belief in themselves? What are we holding back from them by not asking? And I'll tell you from my personal experience, you're holding back so much from someone else that may be another Becky out there waiting for you to ask them.